Well, hello and welcome to Aligned Fitness Living, 8 weeks to a stronger, leaner, happier, and healthier you. This is your long-awaited video to complete the Aligned Eating module. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be honest with you. This took me longer than I thought it was going to take. I might have been a little delusional thinking that we can cram everything that we need to in 8 weeks. With just one simple video. What you're finding is that there's a lot of videos that we're releasing each and every week because there's a lot of information. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to just skim over this information with you and leave something really vital out, something that's really important. And all of the information that I'm sharing with you in these last few modules, all of them, to be quite honest with you, is really vital information to your success. I don't want to skim over it. I don't want to skip over the really important points. I don't want to just get through it so that we get through it. I want to share it with you so that it sinks in, so that you adopt it, and that you adopt it as a lifestyle, that you adopt it for the habits that we're really shooting for here. So, if it's more than you thought or less than you thought or whatever it might be, I just want you to know that in my heart, the reason why I'm sharing it the way that I'm sharing it is because there's a lot here, and I want you to be successful. I really am rooting for you. Every time I say that I'm rooting you on, it's because I am. I'm rooting for you. I've been at that spot before where you didn't know the information, and you didn't know what to do, and you kind of just tried something, and it didn't work, and you tried something else, and it didn't work, and so forth. And I want this to be the last program you ever have to do. I know that sounds kind of silly because I'm in the fitness industry, and hey, we should want you to keep coming back, right? That's what a lot of marketers want you to do. And if there's ever anything more I can share with you, great. But at the end of this program, I want you to feel so certain what you're doing that there's no question. There's no question as to how to live this as a fitness lifestyle. Okay, so that being said, I share that with you because it took me longer. It really did to get this video out to you. Just to create the slides alone for this video took me about 3 hours. And then I'm recording it, and then I'm going to have to convert it into get it uploaded and so forth. So it takes a while. But I'm doing it for you because I'm rooting for you, and I want you to be successful. All right, so Module 2, Video 3. Here's what we're going to cover. Look at it. It's a lot. I'm going to skim over it very quickly. We're going to cover fats. What are they? How much and why? Remember in the last video, we already covered calories. You know how many calories you should be taking in at this moment, and hopefully you've already calculated that. We also covered protein and why it's important and why you absolutely need it. And so hopefully you've calculated your protein needs as well. Not your protein hopes, not your protein maybes, but your protein needs. Because remember, your body has a specific need. So in this video, again, we're going to cover fats. We're going to cover carbohydrates, the much debated carbohydrates, good carbs versus bad carbs, and the truth when it comes to carbohydrates. The glycemic index, what is it and how to use it. I'm going to share with you my exact shopping list and why it's constructed the way that it is. I'm going to share with you my proven meal plans. And then also, I'm going to share with you my 5-minute food prep formula, 5-minute rule, back again. And then the rules for eating out and staying on track. Okay? Let's get going. All right, so fat facts. Number 1, eating fat does not make you fat. Over-consuming calories makes you store body fat. And I don't like to say over-consuming calories makes you fat. I don't like to say makes you fat. So you're going to notice I don't say that. But it does make you store body fat. Okay? So that's a myth. Eating fat does not make you fat. We need fat in our diet. We'll talk more about it in a second. But over-consuming calories makes you store fat. You might remember from my protein example in the last video, you can eat 2,000 calories of the purest protein known to mankind, chicken and broccoli. Let's say that you eat 2,000 calories of chicken and broccoli. If you only burn 1,500 calories that day, you're going to store 500 calories of the purest protein known to mankind and broccoli as body fat. Okay, so fat doesn't make you fat. Eating fat doesn't make you fat. Over-consuming calories makes you store fat. Certain fats can actually help you reduce the risk of heart disease. So fats are necessary. Fats slow the digestion of food and make us feel satiated. So when you have a little bit of fat, So a balanced meal plan, a little bit of fat in that diet, it actually helps reduce your hunger because it slows the metabolism and the digestion of the rest of the food, which keeps you from having spiked blood sugar levels, and those spiked blood sugar levels are what make you feel hungry. So it serves its purposes. Fats also assist in the production of hormones and the function of cells. So again, fats are necessary. So it's been a while since we've been on the fat-free craze. It's been more like carb-free or sugar-free as of late. But some people still buy into this whole "I can't have fat in my diet." Well, yeah, you can have fat in your diet. You need fat in your diet because we need fats. We absolutely do. It's one of our macronutrients. So why the bad reputation? Well, fats are easier to overconsume. 1 gram of fat is 9 calories, while 1 gram of protein or 1 gram of carbohydrates is only 4 calories. Okay? So this is the old question of, all right, well, which one weighs more? 1 gram of fat or 1 gram of carbohydrate? Well, 1 gram is 1 gram. It's the same amount, okay? So if you eat the same amount of food, but one's a fat, it's going to have over twice as many calories as carbohydrates or proteins. It's the same amount, but one has twice as much energy inside it than the other. Okay? Fat has 9 calories in 1 gram. Protein has 4 calories in 1 gram. Carbohydrates have 4 calories in 1 gram. Okay? So it's very easy to overconsume calories when you have something that's high in fat. Some fats, and we're going to learn about them, increase the risk of heart disease. All right, and that's a bad thing, of course, and we'll get more to that in just a second. Foods that we associate. Let's slow down for a second and talk about this. Foods that we associate with high fat content, fried foods, for example, are just simply not healthy foods. They may have high sugar content. They may have the bad fats that we're talking about that increase heart disease. They may have low nutrient value to them, meaning all these calories without any nutrients attached to them. And I already mentioned very high in calories. So fats have a very bad reputation because of these things. They're very easy to overconsume. Some fats are associated with heart disease and risk of heart disease. And a lot of them are a lot of fats are associated with foods that are just bad foods. But there's good fats too. We're going to talk about them real quick. And I hope you can understand and appreciate that I'm not going to get into how a monounsaturated fat is constructed or how a polyunsaturated fat is constructed, because you don't need to know how they're constructed. You just don't. That's extra science information and science overload that you don't need. What you do need to know is which ones are good, which ones are bad, and which ones should I incorporate in my diet, and how do I do that? So we're going to start with monounsaturated. Just know that these are the very best type of fats that you can get. Polyunsaturated. What's a polyunsaturated fat? Doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you which ones they are in just a second. But just know this is also a good type. Not the best type, but a good type. Then we hear about saturated fats. We've heard about those before. Well, saturated fats is one of the bad fats. Then we've got trans fats, the very worst type of fat you can get. Not only do they increase bad cholesterol in the body, but they also decrease the good cholesterol. So they increase the bad and they decrease the good. That doesn't sound good, all right? You can identify these types of fats because they're harder at room temperature, such things as like margarine, or shortening, okay? So here's a chart for you. Good fats. I told you, you don't need to know what monounsaturated and polyunsaturated, you don't need to know what that means and how they're combined and formulated. All you need to know is what are they? Like, give me some examples, right? So monounsaturated fats, some of the common ones that you'll see is like olive oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, peanut oil, sesame oil, avocados, which I absolutely love. Avocados are a great food. Olives, nuts. I'm a huge almond fan. We're going to get to my grocery shopping list in a second. All sorts of nuts. Peanut butter. I'm a huge peanut butter person as well. Those are all monounsaturated fats, and they are perfect for you to incorporate into your diet. Also, the polyunsaturated also are good. Soybean oil, I'm going to skip some of them. Walnuts are in there. Flaxseed is in there. Fatty fish like salmon, tuna, mackerel, herring, trout, sardines. If you're a sardine person, that's on you, okay? But soy milk, tofu, these things obviously they're in the green because they're green light. These are the types of foods that have fats that you want to put in your diet. Let's move over to the bad fat side. Then there's the saturated fat, and you'll notice, and I want to highlight that it doesn't say eliminate these things completely. It says reduce your consumption, which simply means use them sparingly. Okay, so know that a fitness lifestyle always reduces things and the bad things and does them sparingly. It doesn't say you can never have those things again. Because what happens when we say that we can't have things again is we all of a sudden we want them more than we did in the first place. So realize fitness lifestyle means just doing the bad things sparingly. If you remember from some of the previous videos, I say it's not about being perfect. It's about planning around your imperfections. Okay. So when we talk about these bad fats, saturated beef, lamb, pork, chicken skin. I have a daughter that just happens to love chicken drumsticks and the chicken skin. It's her favorite part. And we know that it's not perfect for her, but she likes it. And so every once in a while she gets it. Butter, cheese, ice cream, palm and coconut oil, lard. And then you get to the trans fats. And honestly, those are things that if you can avoid having, then avoid having them. Now you'll remember my control your cravings with questions from I don't know which video beginning of this module, I think. But point being is that if you absolutely have to have a donut and you're at a level 10 for a donut, then have it. Because what's the point of life if you can't enjoy little things like that every once in a while? However, that being said, there's really some things that you want to avoid because they're terrible for you, because they increase your increase your risk of heart disease, and they decrease the good cholesterol that's in your body that's doing good things for you. And you can see on this list, we've got commercially baked pastries, cookies, donuts, muffins, cakes, pizza dough. I mean, if you can go to a convenience store and buy it in some cellophane, it's probably not good for you. Packaged snack foods like crackers and microwave popcorn. Now, I'm a big proponent of air pop popcorn, so keep that in mind. Okay, big proponent of air pop popcorn. But also in this category, stick margarine, vegetable shortening, fried foods, chicken nuggets, candy bars, things like that. But I bet you're mindful enough, I bet that you're smart enough that you can look at that list, and I bet you're not looking at it going, but I thought that was healthy. Am I right? Of course. So sometimes we just eat these things because we're not thinking about it. But if we use that 5-minute mindset we talked about in the beginning, then it changes things. So there's your list. You can download this. So how much fat should you intake? Well, fat intake should be limited to about 20% of your total calories for the day. So let's take a 1,500 calorie diet. And let's multiply that by 0.2, 20%, and that gives us 300 calories of our diet, 300 of our 1,500 calories should come from fat. And if I divide that by 9, because there's 9 calories, okay, in a gram of fat, that tells me that 33 grams of fat is about my goal if I'm on a 1,500 calorie diet. Okay, 33 grams would be 20% of my diet for 1,500 calories. So, let's think about this. Remember how I said fat is very energy rich? There's 9 calories in a gram of fat. So it's very easy to overconsume. So think about this. 1 gram of olive oil, which olive oil is on our good list. That's a good fat. But it's got 14 grams of fat in it. 14 grams of fat, that's about almost half of your goal in fat for the day if you're on a 1,500 calorie diet. Okay, so fat adds up very quickly. Think about this, 1 ounce of almonds, which is about 24 almonds. Good serving size, by the way. Love almonds. But that's about 14 grams of fat as well. Okay, so if I'm cooking and I use 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and that day also for my snack I have 24 almonds, I'm pretty much meeting my fat requirements. Pretty close, okay? So the point is, use it sparingly. That's it. Use it, have it in your diet, but use it sparingly. Do you remember my banana example from the last video? I think it was the last video. How many calories in a medium-sized banana? I'm sure you said 100 because you've heard it once or twice already before, so now you know. So how many grams of fat are there in, how many grams of fat are there in 1 tablespoon of olive oil? There's a mistype here. I should have said 1 tablespoon of olive oil. I put 1 gram of olive oil. That's wrong. I'm sorry. I was in a hurry to get this to you, but it's 1 tablespoon of olive oil. How many grams of fat? 14. What about 1 ounce of almonds? How many grams of fat? 14. So you're learning this stuff. We're starting to stack this knowledge, and at the end of this program, you're going to know it. So the point is that fat's necessary, but you have to use it sparingly, and that's it. All right, so we've already learned how many calories you need. Now you know that. We've also decided what your protein requirements are. So we know what portion, so here's your entire calories. We know what portion needs to be dedicated to protein. We just decided what portion needs to be dedicated towards fat because it's 20% of our total calories. Whatever's left over is your carbohydrate needs. Okay, and I'm gonna show you exactly how that works, exactly how to calculate that in just a moment. But we got some things to talk about with carbohydrates first. First of all, carbohydrates as a macronutrient. Your 3 macronutrients. Okay, you got carbs, fats, and proteins. That's what we're talking about here. Carbs as a macronutrient are not bad for you. Eliminating carbs from your diet is what's bad for you. Let that sink in for a moment. Carbohydrates as a macronutrient are not bad for you. Eliminating carbs from your diet is what's bad for you. Okay? Because that's a temporary approach. You can't live that way. You cannot live by eliminating a complete macronutrient from your diet. Okay, it's not sustainable, and if you can't sustain it, it's not a lifestyle. We've talked about it over and over and over again. So we have to figure out a way, a formula. We have to align ourselves with guidelines that will allow us to keep carbs in. So let's do that. You should also know that carbohydrates are your body's main and preferred fuel source. Carbs are what we call protein sparing, freeing up the protein for building muscle tissue. So I love this point about carbohydrates. And sometimes I see the light bulb moment go off for people when we talk about protein sparing. So let me spend a minute on it. If you don't have carbohydrates in your diet and all you're eating is proteins and fats, your body's next choice for fuel is protein. So if there's no carbs coming in, which is its preferred fuel source, it's going to go to protein next. Well, if your body uses protein for fuel, which it's very hard for your body to use protein as fuel, but it can do it. But if it uses your protein for fuel, then it uses up that protein and it's no longer available for muscle tissue. And if you remember from our protein module, the last video, we talked about how your body needs protein to keep your metabolism going so that you burn body fat instead of muscle fuel and so forth. So carbs are protein sparing. When you have carbs coming in your diet, your body goes, aha, there's a carbohydrate. I'm going to use that for fuel. And that leaves the protein to go do its job, which is to maintain your muscle tissue, maintain your metabolism, help you burn calories. So carbs are necessary. And then finally it says, just like fat, remember, carbs don't make you fat. Overconsumption of calories makes you add body fat. Okay? So get that out of your mind. If you're still in the fat makes me fat or carbs make me fat mentality, go back to Module 1, reshape those beliefs, reorganize those beliefs, okay, to something that's empowering for you. So, all right, Mike, you're telling me that carbs aren't bad, but what about these no-carb diets? They really seem to work, don't they? I mean, look at this woman on the scale. She was just on a no-carb diet. She's lost so much weight. She lost 10 pounds in 1 week. How can you tell me that no-carbs diets are bad things? Well, let's explain it. They're not good. See, they're just temporary. I want to get into the science behind it really quick. I know we're cramming a lot in this video, but this is an important point. Carbohydrates, are stored in your body as ready-to-go energy called glycogen in the muscles and the liver. So when you take in certain carbohydrates, insulin takes those carbohydrates and it helps get it into a form called glycogen and stores it in your muscle tissues and your liver. So when you go to do exercise, the very first thing your body taps into is your glycogen, your stored carbohydrate energy. That's a good thing. Well, for every gram of glycogen, stored carbohydrates, in your body also stores 2.7, almost 3 grams of water with it. So here's your 1 gram of stored carbohydrates for energy, good stuff, but it also has 3 grams of water that comes with it, okay? Well, that means for every lost gram of glycogen, you also lose about 3 grams of water. All right? So if you're on some type of no-carb diet, you're going to eliminate all the carbs from your diet. That means you're going to eliminate all the glycogen that's in your body. And that means you're going to eliminate a lot of water from your body as well. Because for every gram of glycogen that you lose 3 grams of water as well, or 2.7. Okay? It's temporary. So the majority of the quick weight loss that you experience when you stop taking in carbs is basically it's water weight. And I'm going to get to the next point in a second, but I want that to sink in. Think about like people that go on a no-carb diet. It's very exciting. I'll have to admit, it's very exciting because if you're just looking at weight and you don't understand what that weight is, it's very exciting. I just started a no-carb diet. Man, it's day 4 and I've already lost 7 pounds. Well, to lose a pound of body fat, you have to basically burn 3,500 calories more than you eat. 3,500 calories more than you eat. I can guarantee you that you're not doing that in 3 to 4 days. What's happening is you're eliminating all the stored carbohydrates from your body, and all that stored carbohydrates has weight to it, and you're also eliminating all the water weight. Remember, 3 grams for every gram of water weight as well. So you lose all this water weight really fast, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is such a successful diet. In 4 days, I've lost 7 pounds. Now it's been a week, I've lost 12 pounds. All this weight comes off so quickly. This must be the solution. However, once you start consuming carbs again, your body is likely to store 3 times as much glycogen, which also means 3 times as much water. If I told you there was going to be a food shortage, that we're going to run out of food at the grocery stores starting tomorrow, what would you do right now? You'd shut off this module, you'd run out to the grocery store, you'd buy as much canned foods or as much food, as much energy as you could, and you'd store it somewhere. Because if there was going to be a shortage, you would stock up, right? Well, your body's the same way. Your body's the exact same way. It's just been through this period of time where you've given it a shortage or nothing when it comes to carbohydrates. Now all of a sudden you're introducing carbohydrates back into the system. It's going to store almost 3 times as much as it did before. So if you were storing 100 grams of glycogen, now you're going to store 300 grams of glycogen. And if you were storing, 100 grams of glycogen, which means 300 grams of water, now you're going to store 900 grams of water. Point being is that's why you yo-yo when it comes to these types of diets. And I want to stress that you cannot live on this type of eating. And you know that. No, you cannot. The number one rule when it comes to a fitness lifestyle, and I'm getting a little stern here because this is important. You must grasp this. The number one rule was that it must be sustainable for it to be a lifestyle approach. Yes? A permanent approach. And eliminating a macronutrient from your body for any period of time is not a sustainable approach. You cannot do that for a lifetime. So if you can't do it for a lifetime, throw it out. That's not an approach that we're going to take. Okay? Cutting out a major macronutrient that your body needs is not a sustainable approach. And I like this slide because it explains it's a yo-yo diet, right? You're heavy, but then all of a sudden you lose a bunch of weight, and you're feeling really good about yourself, but then you get heavy again, and you go, oh. I always tell people, excuse me, Have you ever heard somebody say, yeah, this is my, I'm going to go back on the no-carb diet, or this is my third time to do Atkins, or my fifth time to do such and such. Point being is, if it's your fifth time to do it, it's a temporary approach. If you're yo-yoing, if you gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight. Now listen, we're all going to gain a little, lose a little. Okay? We talk about that when we get to the maintenance module. It's not a perfect system, but you know what I'm talking about here. If you the little bit that you gain or lose should be within a range of 5 to 10 pounds tops. If you're losing 30 or more pounds and then gaining it back and then losing it again and then gaining it back, that's a temporary approach. Then we have a challenge. We're using something that is not a lifestyle approach. So the good news is we're keeping the carbs. Good news. But not all carbs are the same. All carbs are broken down. So here's what you need to know about carbohydrates. We're going to get scientific for a minute. All carbs are broken down into the simplest form of sugar called glucose. Because glucose is sugar, it affects your blood sugar level, the amount of sugar that's in your blood at one time. Carbohydrates that have a higher impact on your blood sugar level, meaning they send sugar into the blood at a faster rate, are deemed high glycemic, high sugar, okay? So let's picture this. Insulin's job. I want to talk about insulin. Insulin's job is to take that blood sugar and to convert it into stored energy, okay? The glycogen that we talked about. So let's picture that this little mover guy, he's insulin, okay? And the boxes are sugar in the bloodstream. Make sense? Well, his first duty is to try to take the sugar that's in the bloodstream and to store it into this closet, which is your ready energy, your glycogen. It's in your muscle tissue and in your liver. And the first thing he wants to do is he wants to take that sugar and he wants to store it for ready energy, known as glycogen, in your muscle tissue and your energy. And that's okay if he's only got a couple boxes at a time, a little bit of sugar at a time, okay? But what happens if he's flooded with all this sugar at the same time, meaning, let's say you eat something that's deemed high glycemic, meaning it has a very sugary effect on the body. It raises your blood sugar very quickly. Then all of a sudden this guy's overwhelmed. And he can't, there's only so much room that's in the glycogen closet. So all of a sudden he's got to find a new closet, a new place to put all this sugar, all these boxes, all this sugar. And where he stores it is as body fat. So it's not that carbohydrates are bad, it's that when you have something that has a very high glycemic index, something that's going to act very sugary on the body, your body becomes overwhelmed. This guy becomes overwhelmed with being able to place it in places that make sense, that will be good for you. And then he's got to get these boxes, he's got to get the sugar out of the bloodstream. That's his job, to get the blood sugar back down. So he starts to store it other places. And it becomes stored as body fat. So, I hope that little analogy made sense. Let's talk about the different types of carbs. We have simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. And I've got 2 slides for you. And I want to make sure that it makes sense to you. So, simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates, I'm going to read down the list. We got white bread and pasta. Basically, anything packaged that you can cook in less than 5 minutes is also a simple carbohydrate. Fruit, milk, candy, fruit juice, syrup, sugar-sweetened beverages. You look at the complex carbohydrate side. We got whole grain products, starchy vegetables, legumes, beans, non-starchy vegetables. Okay, so you've got 2 types. And in essence, simple carbohydrates act quickly on the blood sugar. They enter the blood sugar very quickly. Complex carbohydrates are linked together, and so they take time to break down. And so therefore they do not impact the blood sugar as quickly. Okay? Now I'm going to show you a different slide, and I'm going to take fruit over here, and I'm going to move it. Okay? Because what I want to talk about is really, let's say that complex carbs actually equals what we call good carbs. And let's say that simple carbs equals what we call bad carbs. Good carbs are referred to as complex carbohydrates. Their chemical structure and fibers require our bodies to work harder to digest. and energy is released over a longer time. In other words, you're not flooding that package guy, that mover, with a bunch of boxes at the same time. Because of the fiber, because it's harder to digest, the energy in that food is released over a longer period of time, giving our mover time to move it to the right places. Examples will be whole grain breads, bran cereals, green vegetables, fresh fruits. Notice I put fruits over here in this category. Why are they good? Well, they're high in fiber and nutrients. They have a low glycemic index, a low impact on the blood sugar level. They help you feel full with fewer calories because of the fiber. Okay, fiber adds bulk, makes you feel full, and it naturally stimulates your metabolism. Now, what's on the other side? Simple carbs, bad carbs. Simple carbohydrates are smaller molecules of sugar that are digested quickly into our body. The energy is stored as glycogen in our cells, and if not used immediately, gets converted to fat. Remember my little mover example. If you can't store it immediately into that glycogen storage cabinet, he's going to put it in as fat. Okay. Bad carbs are generally processed carb foods that have been stripped of their natural nutrients and fiber to make them more consumer friendly. These are your refined breads, your sodas, your sugary drinks, your sugary cereals, your candies, your desserts. Why are they bad? They're low in fiber and nutrients. They're basically empty calories. They're high on the glycemic index, meaning they flood your body with sugar that it can't store as glycogen, and so it ends up storing it as fat. I already said empty calories converted to fat, and high blood glucose levels makes you feel tired as well, and makes you feel that you have those high sugars and then you crash down. It also makes you feel hungry constantly because your body's constantly craving to get back to that high sugar level. So anything that you can think of, people think, okay, well, rice and beans, those are things I should have, right? Well, there's a different type of rice and beans. There's the type that is whole grain, that's brown rice, that still has fiber around it, and it takes 25 minutes to cook. And then there's instant rice that you can cook in 5 minutes. They're not the same product. One has a very high glycemic index, and one has a low glycemic index. All beans are not the same. All breads are not the same. We're going to talk about that in a second. Okay? In fact, we're going to talk about it right now. So here is the glycemic index. And basically the glycemic index tells us which foods have a very sugary effect on the body, meaning they flood our body with sugar, and therefore we're more likely to store as body fat, and which foods are not. So let's look at some of the high glycemic foods. Some of the things that are common, like white bread and bagels, soda crackers, waffles and pancakes, syrup, sports drinks, soft drinks. I know there's a ton of people out there that drink 8 soft drinks a day and so forth. Lots of cereal, cornflakes, Crispix, Total, shredded wheat, cream of wheat, corn, grape nuts. Might as well add in any sugary cereal you can think of. Lucky Charms, Fruit Loops, Fruity Pebbles, and all that stuff that our kids just love to eat, right? Not good. These things all have a high glycemic index. Simply means they will act like sugar on your body, and they will flood your body with sugar, and it will not be able to store it all when it needs to, and so it'll store it as body fat. Okay? Moderate glycemic index foods. These foods right here. 100% whole wheat bread. Pita bread. Bran Check, Special K, all bran. Popcorn. Oatmeal, marmalade. An orange. Grapefruit juice, grapes, kiwi fruit, a lot of things that we think, all right, well, a lot of this stuff is not bad. Here's basmati rice and bulgur and stuff like that, and white rice, long grain. So here's what I'm going to tell you. The top of the list is kind of your red light foods, meaning stop and think about it for a minute, okay? The middle here is kind of your yellow light foods, meaning slow down, don't do that many of them. And then when you get to the bottom here, these are what I like to call your green light foods. So we've got, I'm going to highlight some really popular ones like milk and yogurt, bananas, beans, hummus, peanuts, apples, oat bran, lentils, things like that. So, oops, jumped ahead. What I want to tell you, because one of the number one questions I get is bread. What kind of bread? What I want to do is encourage you to read your labels. And one of the most important things when it comes to labels is you flip it over and you read the ingredient list. Because marketing will try to fool you. Listen to me closely. Marketing will try to fool you. And on the front of the package, it might say 100% whole wheat. Sounds healthy, right? You flip it over, and on the back, it says enriched wheat flour. Well, guess what? Enriched wheat flour, you might as well slap sugar on there as the first ingredient because it's going to act like sugar on your body, okay? It's been stripped of the fiber that's necessary to slow the metabolism of that food, and it's going to act very sugary. It's going to enter your bloodstream very quickly, okay? But if you flip it over and it says whole grain flour or whole grain wheat, then now you're talking about something that's actually a healthy product, okay? So you got to read your labels. So we've talked about all this. We talked about carbohydrates, what they are, how they affect your blood sugar level, but how many do you actually need in your diet? Not my diet, not your neighbor's diet, not the person down the street's diet, not your husband's diet, not your wife's diet, not your kid's diet. In your diet, because you are a unique person. Remember from the last video. So here it is. The entire formula has been outlined for you. We determined, number one, how many calories you're supposed to take in. For this example, let's say you're supposed to take in 1,800 calories. The second thing we determined was what your protein requirements were. How many you absolutely need. Not a suggestion, but what your protein requirements were. So for this particular example, 130 grams of protein are required for somebody that's on an 1,800 calorie diet based on their activity level and so forth, okay? So 130 grams of protein, if there's 4 calories in a gram of protein, then 130 grams of protein times those 4 calories is 520 calories. Meaning, all right, we know we're supposed to take in 1,800 calories. We know that protein's required, so how much do I need? I need 520 of those calories coming from protein. That leaves me 1,280 calories. We calculated the fat next, okay? So we go calories, calculate your protein, calculate your fat. So the fat was 20% of your dietary guidelines, right? So we had 1,800 calories times 20%. That's 360 calories from fat, which comes to about 40 grams. Because remember, there's 9 calories in a gram of fat. All right, so 40 grams of fat in your diet. So we take the 1,280. We subtract the amount of calories coming from fat, which tells us we have 920 calories left over for carbohydrates. If I take 920 calories, divide it by 4, because there's 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate, then I need 230 grams of carbohydrates in my diet. Voila! I've just determined my calorie needs, my grams of protein, carbs, fats, all of it. So the numbers are this. I know using this formula that I need 1,800 calories in my diet, 130 grams of protein, 40 grams of fat, and 230 grams of carbohydrates. That's for this example. Now, what are your numbers? Because that is your homework assignment. Your homework assignment is to figure all 4 of these out. Calories, grams of protein. Hopefully you've already done those 2. How many grams of fat you should have in your diet, and what's left over, how many grams of carbohydrates. So, you got your formula now. That's pretty cool. That's teach a man to fish stuff right there. I could have given you a fish. I could have said, here, follow this. And I'm going to give you some tools here in just a moment. But that's not the idea. Teach you how to fish will allow you to do this as a lifestyle. So I want to share with you what's on my shopping list. Okay, so here we go. Vegetables. You can download all this, so I'm going to go through it very quickly. Every week we get fresh romaine lettuce, leafy lettuce, sometimes iceberg lettuce if we want to do like taco shells using iceberg lettuce, fresh spinach, cucumbers, carrots, radishes, squash, zucchini, eggplant, bell peppers, onions, mushrooms. We do a lot of bell peppers, onions, and mushrooms because we do like chicken cacciatore, ground sausage with peppers, onions, and mushrooms. Hey, I'm part Italian, so forget about it. What you can do? I like to use carrots and radishes. I like to dip those in hummus and things like that as a snack. So this all makes sense. But this is what we get vegetables wise. It's funny because I talk with some of you, and I had somebody, you know who you are, be like, I'm not going to have to eat kale, am I? Because I just really don't like kale. No, you don't have to eat any of this. This is my shopping list, and I'm sharing it with you. I'm also going to share with you my meal plans, but you can do what you want. You know the rules now. You know what carbs are good, which fats are good, which proteins are good. You know how much you need, so you know the rules. You get to call your own shots. I'm just sharing with you what I do. Fruits, we do apples, we do bananas. Yes, I said bananas. Bananas have a bad rep. Oh, you shouldn't eat bananas. They're going to make you fat. No, they don't. Overconsumption of calories makes you gain body fat. We do a lot of berries. Berries are very low on the glycemic index. Strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. I put avocados and tomatoes under fruits because they're fruits, okay? And yes, we do them. Nuts and legumes, uncooked black beans, pinto beans, and red beans. And when I say uncooked, it's because we cook them. We put them in a crock pot. We cook them ourselves. We know what's going into them. They keep their fiber that way and so forth. Almonds. Now I'm going to say this because I got a friend of mine who says, well, shouldn't you just eat raw almonds with no salt? Sure, that would be ideal, but guess what? I like the flavored almonds. I like the sea salt almonds with vinegar, and I like the wasabi almonds and so forth. Do they have a little extra sodium? Yes, they do. Am I perfect? No, I am not. But again, I'm living a fitness lifestyle. How about you? Again, the fitness lifestyle person says it's not about perfection, it's about planning around my imperfections, and doggone it, I want that sea salt and vinegar almonds. It's better than some alternatives that are out there. And then, of course, natural peanut butter. I do the natural stuff there because you don't want those partially hydrogenated oils and stuff like that. Just bad for you. So go the natural route. Dairy. Yeah, we do dairy. Skim milk. Greek yogurt. If you're going to do yogurt, might as well do the Greek stuff because it's so high in protein and it's got a lot less sugar to it. It doesn't have to be the plain. We do the fruit Greek yogurt in our family, and guess what? We're just fine. We do the part skim mozzarella, both the shredded, because we like to use the shredded cheese in our omelets and things like that on different types of foods. And then also we like the string cheese, the part skim mozzarella cheese. We like low-fat sour cream. We use that for making our own ranch dressing because we use those little ranch packets, the little ranch dips where you can mix it with sour cream. And yes, Caesar dressing. Is Caesar dressing the healthiest thing in the world? No, it's not, but we like it. And in moderation, especially since we're measuring it. Remember how we're measuring everything? And we know what a tablespoon of Caesar dressing looks like because we measured it and we recalibrate from time to time? Yeah. You can do it, okay? Protein. Every week, chicken breast. This might surprise you. Chicken drumsticks and thighs. Okay? Ground turkey, lean ground beef, pork loin, turkey bacon, turkey sausage links, canned tuna, and fresh fish. Always on our grocery list. Grains. We like sourdough bread. Are there other breads that you can get that are lower on the glycemic index? Sure. Pumpernickel, things like that. Whole grain, Ezekiel bread, things like that. But we choose sourdough. That's kind of our bread of choice. We really like that. Do we eat it with every meal? No. Do we have maybe a slice a day? Sure. Whole wheat pasta, not flip it over enriched wheat, but whole wheat pasta, the real stuff. Brown rice, uncooked because we cook it ourselves. Corn tortillas. And here I said that, corn tortillas. My wife is Hispanic, so all of a sudden I just felt compelled that I must say it. Tortillas. Whole wheat Eggos. Yeah. Because my kids really like those, but they're the whole grain Eggos. And whole wheat flour, because some of the things we make, like I like to make eggplant, parmesan, and things like that, and things that call for some flour, we use the whole wheat flour. It's fibrous, and it's going to have a lower impact on the blood sugar level, okay? I went back a slide. Let me scoot forward. And we are, here. All others. Other things that we like to include on our shopping list. Jams, salsas, taco seasoning, chili seasoning, ranch, dip seasoning and hot sauce and things like that, things that can flavor up the food. So here's what I hope you're understanding, and by looking at my personal grocery list, and I'm really putting my laundry out there for you to see, but it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Somebody could, somebody that's really serious about being perfect could come in here and go, well, you shouldn't have that because it's got too much sodium, and you shouldn't have drumsticks in that because there's fat in the skin and this. And they could completely dissect what we're doing here and say it's not perfect. And I would look at them in the face and say, you are right. It's not perfect. And that's why it works. It works because it's not perfect. It works because it's pretty dang close to perfect. It works because I know where my calories are, and I know where my protein is, and I know where my carbohydrates are, and I know where my fats are, and I have a plan when I go out to eat, and I plan for when I'm going to be in a business meeting and things like that, and I have a plan. I can plan around my imperfections. And that's why it works. Because if somebody tells me I can only eat chicken and broccoli and lemon water and kale and bok choy and things like that, I'm not going to do it. And I don't think you will either. So that's the point. That's why this program is different. And I hope that you are experiencing the freedom that comes along with that. Supplements. Yeah, we'll get to this. I do supplement. Why? Because getting all of this in through Whole Foods can be difficult at times. Is it ideal? Yes. I get that question all the time. Well, shouldn't I get all my nutrients and everything from Whole Foods? And I say, yes, you should. Do you? And usually the answer is like, no, I don't. I don't have time. I don't have time for breakfast sometimes. Or I'm not getting enough protein in my diet. I don't have time to cook and things like that. And if that's the case, well, then sometimes it makes sense to supplement. So if you're one of those that's just like, I'm not going to supplement because, dang it, that's not right, but I'm not getting everything I need in my food, then maybe you'll consider the bonus supplement video I'm going to give you. And again, I'm going to share the information with you because it's what I do. This is my program. This is what I do, and I'm sharing it with you. If you don't want to get any of the supplements that I mentioned in there, that's fine. But at least I will have told you what they do and why I use them and so forth, and you can make your own decisions. And that's what that supplement video is going to be about, okay? If it makes sense for you, that's all. So, meal plans. You're going to be able to download the meal plans with this video. It's underneath this video. Download those meal plans finally. But I'm going to tell you why they work. And I've seen them work for people for years and for years and for years. And here's why. Because it's not a have-to-follow meal plan. It's a food bank that you can choose from. When I was trying to lose my weight way back in the day, and I followed that meal plan, that said you have to eat this for breakfast, this for lunch, this for dinner, and here's your first snack, and here's your second snack, and here's your third snack, and so forth. And every day was outlined exactly what I had to eat. Well, a few things happened. Number one, I was like, well, I don't want to eat that for dinner tonight. I didn't want it. Or I didn't have it in my pantry or my refrigerator. And so I would fall off track because it was like, well, I'm supposed to do this, but I don't want that, or I don't have that, so then what am I supposed to do? So when I created these meal plans, I thought, man, wouldn't it be better if it was like, here are some choices you can choose from for breakfast. Here are some choices you can choose from for lunch. Here are some choices you can choose from for dinner. And here are some choices you can choose from snacks. And you can piece it together. I'll have that for breakfast. I'll have that for lunch. I'll have that for dinner. I'll have that for a snack and so forth. And you can piece it together yourself. And that's one of the reasons why it works. Everything, also another reason why it works is everything is pre-calculated for you. There's no logging your calories and etc., meaning you don't have to go create some online account and start to enter into your, I had this much for lunch and this much for dinner and this much for, because you know what? Anybody that I've ever seen do that does it for a day and then they don't do it anymore because it's tedious. So, one of the things you're going to be doing in this program is learning. How many calories in a banana? How many grams of fat in a tablespoon of olive oil? How about an ounce of almonds? I bet you got those right. Because we're learning. And we're going to continue to learn. We're in week 3, but you're going to continue to learn. And by the end of this program, the foods that you're eating on a daily basis, you're going to know. You're going to know exactly, and you're going to be able to piece it together easily. But for these meal plans, I've already done the work for you. Each meal has the calories and the grams of fat and protein and carbs underneath them. They are not perfect. You already heard me say that. Perfection is for the misled. People that think they can be perfect are misled. Imperfection is for the lifestylers out there, and I believe you're a lifestyler. So what you're going to notice is that these meal plans aren't perfect, but you're going to go, I think I can follow that. And that's the idea. They're balanced. I did take my time when I put these together to make sure that they're very well balanced. They have proteins and carbs and fats. Oh my. So they're very well balanced. And they fit your lifestyle. We've got some meal plans that take some time to cook. And then there's things that are sometimes really quick and really easy. I've got restaurant choices on those meal plans. Some places that offer some really great choices out to eat. Some fast food choices, in fact, because sometimes we need that. And that's why it fits. It's a lifestyle. So, real quick, I want to share with you my 5-minute meal prep. And you go, how in the world do you prepare all your meals in 5 minutes? Okay, so this is a little misleading because my 5-minute meal prep is for the rest of the week. But I pick a day, Sunday, to prepare a lot of my stuff ahead of time. Does it take a little bit of time? Yes, it does. But it allows me in the busy times when I come home from work and my wife's running around like crazy and we're trying to get the kids to school and we're trying to pack lunches and stuff. If we already have that stuff ready to go, then it takes 5 minutes to prepare our meals for the day and we know that we're going to stay on track. So my first suggestion is to get a crock pot. You probably already have one, but get a crock pot. All right. My second suggestion is to use Sunday as a day to prepare for at least 3 to 4 days in advance. Okay. Number 3, you're going to like this one. Pour yourself a tall glass of wine. Why do I want you to do that? Not to get you off track, because I want you, and maybe wine's not your thing, and that's okay. Maybe it's a hot, warm cup or a warm cup of coffee or whatever it might be, but find something that's going to make this an enjoyable experience for you. You know, a lot of people like to cook and have a glass of wine, so that's why I put that there. Put on your favorite cooking music. I'm going to share with you mine. I like to listen to Dean Martin. I like to listen to a little Pavarotti at times. I like to listen to a little Nat King Cole, a little Ray Charles, because that stuff, it just gets me in a good mood. And so if I'm sitting there and I'm sipping a glass of wine and I got my little Pandora playing with my music and I'm sauteing some stuff, guess what? I'm in a good mood. I'm in a happy place. And I know I'm doing something right for myself. Number 5, get them all going at the same time. It should take you 1 hour tops. Okay, so here's the deal. Let's say I'm going to make some taco meat for the week. I can get that going in one skillet. Get my meat brown. Okay. Let's say I want to make some turkey patties or lean ground beef patties that we're going to have that week. I can get that going in another skillet or on the grill. Let's say I want to grill some chicken. I can pound that chicken out and get it on the grill. Get my crock pot going. Let's say I'm going to do some type of crock pot. I like to do the chicken cacciatore. I put my chicken in there, some peppers, some onions, some mushrooms, and then I pour some tomato sauce, some onion salt, some pepper, and then plug that puppy in and let it do its work for 8 hours. I don't have to do the work for 8 hours. It does the work for 8 hours. But the point is, you get all this stuff going at the same time. You put it in your Tupperware. You let it cool first, by the way. Okay? Get them all going at the same time. Let it cool while you do anything that you want. That's important. Let your food cool before you put it in the refrigerator, okay? And store it safe. Put it in, Tupperware containers and so forth, and refrigerate it. And then each day it'll just take you 5 minutes to pack your stuff. That's it, So like for my wife who works as a teacher, when she's leaving, first of all, every day she pretty much has like an egg white omelet with some ground turkey in it, or some lean ham, or some part skim mozzarella cheese with some fresh berries on the side, maybe a slice of sourdough bread. And then for her lunch, we pack up one of the meals that we've cooked ahead of time, maybe Greek yogurt, a piece of fruit, and a string cheese. And she's out the door, and she's got everything that she needs for the day. And I do the same. And we do the same thing for our kids as well. Because as parents, if you've got kids, we have to lead by example. And not just lead by example, but we got to make sure that our kids are following through too. Guess what? It's not okay, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a soapbox for a second. It's not okay for you to try to eat healthy for yourself, but then just feed sugar to your kids all day. You gotta lead by example, but then you also have to make sure that they're following that example, and that comes down to you as the parent. Am I saying they can never have ice cream again? No. Am I saying they can't have waffles? No. But I'm saying that what we put into our kids' bodies is really important at this young age because it's going to dictate who they are in the future. And that's on us as parents. All right, so I'm going to step off that soapbox for a second. But that's my 5-minute meal prep. Every day it takes us less than 5 minutes to get the meals going because we've done it ahead of time. This is the last thing I got. I know this is a long module, guys, a long video, but again, I didn't want to cheat you on information. But my out to eat aligned guidelines, okay? Number 1, don't do breads, chips, or apps. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. You're not there for the bread and the chips and the appetizers. You're there for the entree, okay? So just get it in your mind. Number 1, don't do breads, chips, or apps. Plain and simple. And if somebody looks at you and says, "What, are you not going to have some of this bread with us? You're going to make me eat all this bread myself? Or what's the matter? You're not eating chips tonight?" Or whatever. You just have a response ready to go, and your response is simply, I don't want to fill up before I eat. Go right ahead. Do what you want. You're not going to make them feel bad. You're not going to feel guilty because you're not eating. Okay? You have your response ready to go. What's the matter? You're not going to have any of this bread with us? You're going to make me eat all this bread and make me look like a pig? No, you do what you want. I just don't want to fill up before I eat. I'm really looking forward to my entree. And if I fill up on bread, I won't eat it. That's it. Isn't that easy? A response ready to go? That's yours. I'm giving it to you. That's your response. Step 2, use your 5-minute rule for alcohol. We all like our alcohol. We do. We like to drink. We like our wine. We like our beer. We like our beverages and so forth. But use your 5-minute rule for alcohol when you go out to eat, okay? Which simply says, I'm going to enjoy something, but it can wait for now. Isn't that freeing? You're not saying I can't have it. You're saying I'm going to enjoy something, but it can wait right now. I'm going to wait 5 minutes. And then 5 minutes into it, you're going to say, I am going to have that drink, but you know what? It can wait another 5 minutes. And you're going to use the 5-minute rule that we've learned already as long as you can. And you might find that you get an hour into the night before you have your first drink. You might find that you go all the way through the night without having a drink. You might get sidetracked with a conversation and having a good time. Point being is that use the 5-minute rule. Just be mindful of it and see how far you can go. If after 5 minutes you're ready for the first drink, have it. But just use the mindset rule, okay? Use the 5-minute mindset rule. Step 3, no going in, not at mealtime. No going in what you're going to have as an entree, not when you get there and read through the menu and have to pick very quickly because the waiter's waiting on you, okay? No going in. You know you're going to ABC restaurant, research it online. What's the meal? What's on their menu? Research it. Yeah, I'm telling you, take a step. Take 5 minutes. There's the 5-minute rule again. Can I take 5 minutes to research where I'm going ahead of time? Okay, research it and find out what's on their meal plan so you can make the best decision that you can. Rule number 4, use your 5-minute rule when you're eating. You know what the 5-minute rule is. We've talked about it over and over and over again. Eat something for 5 minutes, set your fork down, focus on conversation, sip your water, look at the atmosphere, focus on other things besides food. If after 5 minutes you're still hungry, eat for another 5 minutes and so forth. Number 5, dessert. Have a cup of coffee. Coffee is excellent with 3 spoonfuls of any dessert that you want. Okay? You want the cheesecake? Great. You want the tiramisu? Great. You want the creme brulee? Great. Have 3 spoonfuls. Enjoy them. Have a cup of coffee. Make the coffee your dessert. Okay? And make the dessert your accent piece. So you have your coffee and you say, I'm enjoying this. This is my dessert. If you go, well, I don't do coffee. It keeps me up. Have a decaf. Okay? Have some coffee. And then enjoy and think about it and taste that and enjoy it. I'm not telling you that you can't have it, but you don't need the whole thing. Okay? Which leads me to step 6. You don't have to eat what you paid for, or you're going to pay for it. I should have put that in there. It didn't fit. But you don't have to eat what you paid for. Just because you paid for it doesn't mean you have to eat it, because then you're going to pay for it later. Okay? So if that's a mindset that you have, because I know a lot of people have that mindset, well, I paid for it, dang it, I'm going to eat it. Why? If your goal is fitness, why? That's just shooting yourself in the foot. You paid for it one way or the other. Now are you going to get out of there the way that you want, or are you going to get out of there the way that you don't want? Okay? If that's one of your beliefs, go back to Module 1. You don't have to start the program over, but go back and look at how to reformulate those beliefs to where they become empowering beliefs. Okay? It's very important because it all starts right here. So I want you to think about this. Like, let's just say you don't go in mindful. The bread and the butter or the chips or salsa, whatever you eat, on average, people eat about 300 calories before their meal ever hits the table. Okay? Then let's say that you have 3 glasses of wine or cocktails throughout the meal, maybe more, but let's just say 3 for this example, 450 calories. The average entree, would you believe, is about 1,200 calories at restaurants. And if you're thinking, well, no, not the thing that I order, research it, because I bet it does. Average dessert is about 750 calories. So the question is, do you really want to consume 2,700 calories in one sitting? Probably not. Especially since your calories that you need on a daily basis are probably less than that. Do you want to consume all of it in one sitting? No, because you're going to store that as body fat. Your body can't burn through it all. But you have to think about it. Now, aligned eating. What if you use the mindset of, well, I don't need bread and chips right now, so you're at 0 calories. And let's say that you put off the drinks and throughout the night you only have 2. Well, now you're at 300 calories. And let's say that your entree, you use the 5-minute rule. So instead of eating the whole thing, which is about 1,200 calories, you have a small portion of it, and then you realize, you know what, I'm good. So it's only 200 calories. And then let's say, dessert, you have 3 bites of something extremely rich. So we're going to say 100 calories. You're going to highball it a little bit, and with your coffee. But, at the end, you're at 600 calories for the same experience. The same experience. But without the guilt and without the extra 2,100 calories at that, without the extra body fat, without the sluggish feeling, without the bloating, without all the blah that comes with it. Same restaurant, same conversation, same people, same experience, but on the right foot. Aligned eating. So it basically just comes down to being mindful before you get there, and planning, having a plan. So know what's the plan. That's a lot for this one particular seminar, or for this one particular module. But yeah, now you know your full formula. You know how to calculate your calories, your protein, your fat, your carbs, how to structure that for you. I shared with you my grocery shopping list. I shared with you my meal plans. You can download those along with the notes here. How to make choices when you go out to eat. Have some guidelines that you align yourself with. And I'll just end with this. Aligned fitness living is about aligning yourself with guidelines, and I'm giving them to you. I'm giving formulas. I'm giving guidelines to follow. And I'm not just grasping them out of thin air. I've seen them work for almost 7 years now. Okay, been in the industry since 1999. I've seen them work. They worked for me. They've worked for hundreds, if not thousands of points of other people. I'm giving you them. Okay. But you have to use them. You have to align yourself. You can't just align them and you be over here and say, hey, that's great that all those rules and guidelines and things are over there. You are the missing piece. You are the person that has to be aligned with them to get to what your purpose is, to get to what your vision is. So I hope that you're doing that. I know I'm giving you more and more to do now because we're piecing it together, like we talked about. I didn't give it to you all on day one, but we're starting to piece it together. So if you're falling behind, catch up, because there's more coming, okay? That's it for now. You got your homework assignment. You're going to calculate all your numbers. You're going to download your meal plans. And that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be calculating all these things. You should still be weighing and measuring all your food at this point in time. Every day you're spending 5 minutes on your mindset, your empowering beliefs, and your purpose and your vision. Realize that's where everything starts every single day. It will dictate your day. And you're using your 5-minute rule when you sit down to eat. So that's it for now. There'll be more. And in the meantime, I'll be rooting you